Light it.
All right, he has hosted The Soup on E! You've seen him on Community, among other shows and movies. Currently, he's starring in Animal Control, which returns to our beloved Fox on January 2nd. Joel McHale joins the triple option, and Joel is a football guy, right? And it goes back to your University of Washington roots. So just as a quick little resume for us, what is your love, your attachment to college football right now?
Well, I was a mascot on the University of Washington. And, even though it looked like I was in full pads all the time, I love football. I love most sports. I basically am a human golden retriever. If there was a ball and someone put the ball 10 feet away from me, I would run at the ball and bring it back to them. And that's, so I was good at sports and standing on stage because I love attention, and I was terrible at school. And I pretty much grew up in Seattle, where we are self-hate. Like, we get, like, our Sonics have a championship, we sell them, and see you later. And then I was there when the Seahawks started. You know, it's weird to think of having teams when they just start. And then we also had Don James, who ended up coaching me, but in the late 70s when he came in to a very rough Husky program and won the frickin' Rose Bowl out of nowhere. And that really put us on the map and made everyone kind of sit up. And so my grandparents went to the University of Washington, is where I went. And this is and then I eventually walked on to the University of Washington team because I think Mark and I are probably equal athletes.
Exactly.
I think we both probably same stats, and
100%.
Let's not look that up. Don't look
same
it up.
Defensive stats, maybe.
Yeah, don't look that up.
You played in the Rose Bowl, as did I. So we're great.
Did I play?
You were there. You were on the field.
You were there in the flesh. You ran out that tunnel.
Yeah, well,
in Pasadena, you had the same experience.
Yeah, it was. It was not. Yes, so equal, and and so that's my. And then I left the team and decided to pursue, a very stable business of entertainment, and so that's how that all kicked off. And my wife and I moved to LA 24 years ago when Urban only had like 5 national championships at that point. So that was going way back. So yeah, that's so now I don't know what my good fortune was, but here we are. Here we are on this podcast. And
bless child. We glad to have you on the pod.
Hey Joe, it's Urban Meyer. Glad to have you. These guys want me to talk football. I started, once I found out you're coming on, I started a petition. I got a lot of names, man. We're going to do season 13 in the Soup.
Oh, yeah.
Start that bad boy up again. I really miss that.
That was good times. And that was my big break. That was everyone was like, oh, how did you get that? I didn't have an agent when I got that. I was not represented but I had a commercial agent who was wonderful. But I ended up booking that show, and then no one watched it for a year, which was really good because I'm very dyslexic and cannot read teleprompter. And so I had a whole year to screw up. Could you imagine like playing football where you'd be like, don't worry, guys, we're not playing anybody this year. We're just going to iron out the kinks for a year. And would have been great. And Urban, I met you outside. The first time I met you was outside of a hotel after the ESPYs, and I met you with your daughter, and you were so kind. And your daughter was competition water skiing at that point, I believe.
Yeah, wakeboarding.
Good memory.
National champion. Yeah, I do remember that. That's great.
And and I was you're so kind and cool, and but those were the Soup was on for 12 years, and I was couldn't believe my good fortune, and then Then they signed me to a new 2-year contract and then abruptly canceled the show like 2 months later. And you're not going to believe this. They didn't realize they had signed me to a guaranteed contract. So
that a boy.
It really shows you that who was running the place at the time.
Well done.
So, hey, real quick, Joe, and I'll hand this off to Mark. So you had a little bit of political incorrectness in some of that comedy. I think that's what I loved about it. How much has that changed in this world?
Well, I think so far, like I know that Seinfeld came out and said you can't tell jokes at colleges anymore. And I think Chris Rock said the same thing. And so far, I have not had that experience. And they are, especially like college audiences, they are game. And they want to, from what my experience has been. And then I saw that Tom Brady roast and I was like, don't think not only did no one get in trouble, I mean, I guess other than Tom Brady, but everybody's career, after that was like, I mean, I talked to Gronk, who afterwards he was like, I've never gotten a bigger response to anything I've ever done, including the Super Bowls. And I was like, so there are I always feel like comedy always is like as waves start coming in, it's how comics kind of ride those waves. And so, like there are changing time, like everything's changing all the time. So far, I'm still telling jokes that people go, oh, and I mean, not funny, but I think like the Soup was a very weird, wonderful time when like reality television was an open frontier at that point. I mean, you had like, it was still, there was no rules. So, and there was no sort of standards that were, like they gave Britney Spears a camera and her and Kevin Federline just filmed each other kind of getting high. And that became a television show. Or Flavor Flav, had like 9
Flavor
shows
Love.
on.
Come get your clock, girl.
Right. I mean, that, and he was, then like that's when the Bachelor is like, like it's like this institution. But at the time it was like, there's 30 lunatics that are trying to get this one lunatic's love. And they have like 3 weeks to do it. This is insane. And, now it's like, well, it's normal and they're huge stars. What's wrong with you? Or RuPaul's Drag Race was the dirtiest show on television that we couldn't show it. And now it is this multiple Emmy winning performance institution. And I don't, I don't know what to compare. I guess I compare it to, if it's football, I don't know if you've seen that CBS 1979 promo video where it's like the NFL, literally every highlight they showed was
a concussion or somebody going to the hospital, right?
Stomping on someone's back and face masks and horse collars. And then it was like the NFL. And I was like, oh, that's what that time was like. And the fact that someone like you, Urban, were watching it was like the fact that we got to an audience like someone like you guys. I was like, oh, it ended up, it was a bunch of high school friends and we just kind of made it up and we got so lucky. So yeah, there we go. That was my long rant. Mark, you were probably a 5th grader at that time.
Like Rob, when was the Soup dropping?
I'm your age.
Rob was in his late 50s.
2004 to 15.
Dropping?
04 to 15.
2004.
04, I was a freshman in high school, so we're good. I was still there.
But before that was Talk Soup. That was like, the beginning, the Greg Kinnear days. And that's what really triggered that whole concept. Joel,
those are the days.
Put on your let's go back to improv classes right now, okay? And if college football right now was an episode of The Soup, how would it play out?
If college football was an episode of The Soup, right? Oh, well, I guess we would be in. I guess we'd be in the locker room. Some probably, and that's a really good question.
Yet an awful question at the same time.
Yeah, like
it's loaded. It's a hard one.
I mean, Hard Knocks that's when Hard Knocks started.
Yeah, good point.
And I remember when Andrew Cromartie said on camera that he had 4 3-year-olds. Right. And
do the math. Wait a second.
I was like, what the hell's
that? He's had a lot more since then.
Yeah. Productive.
What does he do? I don't know. I hope
you just keep shooting your shot.
Yeah, just
keeps making it.
If it were an episode of television, well, boy, there would be no helmets. I'll say that because we couldn't afford them.
There we go.
No helmets.
They should do that.
It would be rugby. It would be rugby.
Yeah, if they did like a fun college thing, like third quarter, no helmets, and just see what happens.
How much college football do you watch on a typical Saturday?
Well, if the Huskies are playing, and Urban, my love for the Huskies, and if they're playing, then I'm going to be watching it, and I get, and then if it's on all. It's like if it's Saturday, it's only college or Friday night college football, and then Sunday's all NFL, and then the rest of the week is tennis. It's just balls, guys. I just want a ball.
Again, balls.
And then when the evening rolls,
golden retriever.
Then it's NBA.
A human golden retriever. Air Bud.
Yeah, if it's NBA season, then we're in. But there really is nothing like college football, on this planet. And I know I say that as a half Canadian that they watch all of our games, right? And the spectacle of college football is, it's obviously like the NFL and college football have all come up at the same time, but like we still haven't embraced soccer the way that everybody wants us to, and because
half of us have it.
Are you into it?
There's two of us here that really love football.
Yeah, but
Mark
you guys
and I.
You hate wrestling though, right?
Not pro wrestling. Not pro. This guy loves pro wrestling.
I know.
I'm a junkie.
No, I'm saying, like.
So you're talking to two people who support the game,
right?
Not that one over there.
The ratings compared to, like
that one.
It's a Brady Bunch episode over there. Yeah,
he doesn't really like it too much. One.
I live right near the Brady house. No joke.
Do you?
And I just met Marsha, the woman that played Marsha, last night, literally at a community.
Where did you meet her?
At a Christmas party, and I was like, "Oh, for 40
What do
years.
People do when Joe McHale pulls up to the Christmas party? Like, are they like, you just shutting down the whole event or what? Like,
they're like, Daniel Tosh is here. Can't believe it. Can't believe we got him. Yeah, no, wait, do you think, but to this day, obviously college football and NFL football are bigger ratings wise than FIFA soccer is or Major League Soccer.
Not the World Cup, huh?
World Cup will go toe to toe, but that's just once every 4 years.
Yeah.
Does FIFA like playoffs get as big a ratings as NFL playoffs in America? Do we know?
NFL is so consistent and it's year in and year out, right? Where the World Cup, it's every 4 years or every 3 years if you throw in the Women's World Cup. And they get really good, respectable ratings, but those NFL numbers are bonkers every single Sunday. So there's a couple days that will put up the good fight, right? And go toe-to-toe. But I think the majority is this is an NFL society. This is now a college football society here in the U.S. as well, for sure.
All right, Joe, let's get back to Washington. I'm fired up to hear your thoughts. Big Ten versus Pac-12. Are you glad they did it? Harder path to success? Do you miss the Pac-12 games? I mean, it's a lot of people were torn up when that Pac-12 went away.
Yeah, it was. I was very sad about it because it was, it was what the West Coast was, right? That was our league, and that defined. And I understand why everybody did it, because of the consolidation of power to be competitive with like the SEC, and I understand why it happened. It's just it was an ugly moment when it all happened very quickly, and I felt terrible for the Beavers and the Cougs, and they, like, especially this year with the Cougs being good and that quarterback being really good. And
You didn't feel that bad. It's the Cougars. I mean, you're a Husky. You can only feel so
well,
bad
no,
about the Cougars.
I've switched all my hatred over to the Ducks. So
Oh, okay.
now it's like if the Cougars were a super powerful team, I would hate them more. But now it's become a new sport in Washington State to hate.
So
Eugene.
will you go to the Rose Bowl just to hate watch Oregon and cheer against them?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not above that.
I would just eat like a number of cloves of garlic and breathe on them, just quiet the fans through the game, just to make them uncomfortable. But I'm not that well educated about like the real like I always thought the bowl system was not great. There should be all that stuff. I was like, yeah, because what happened was, if like USC was the last time we had these dominant teams yes, obviously Washington fought their way and got to that national championship last year, but I was always like, how can this team, I don't know, from Alabama or I don't know, from Georgia, how come they have 2 losses but are still in the top 3, and these guys are undefeated on the West Coast, but I guess they didn't play somebody hard enough, so there's never going to have so all that stuff.
You have a chance by winning your booty conference. So that's your chance.
Just keep, but
if you win your conference, that's your chance.
Yeah,
so you do have a chance.
You had a chance, but not as good as if you were the SEC. Right? Yeah. I mean, it's a higher competition.
It just means more.
It just means, this is why it all went away.
It just means more.
So do you think it was a good move that all the teams went to different conferences?
I think it's a means to an end for what's about to happen with these power conferences and the money. Deep down, no. I still believe in the purest part of college sports. And what about the women's soccer team? My daughters play college volleyball. You're going to put them on a plane to Rutgers, Penn State, Purdue? I don't know. I get it. I'm like you. I get it. I just think Washington's path got real hard now.
Yeah.
To a championship. Can they really win the Big Ten? I don't know that. I think they could win they did win the Pac-12. Can they really win the Big Ten? I don't know.
I'm going to say, well, yeah. Next year, we're doing that.
Next year.
Oh, it's on next year. All right.
Hitting the portal.
2.
I'll enter the whole team into some portal, like a special space portal. And but I agree. It's much harder.
Average plane trip, 2,300 miles.
No, now you're worried about not the competition. You're worried about all the traveling?
All the above. It's a different league. It's a line of scrimmage league, and that's a lot of wear and tear. I did it once or twice in my career across the country. Those poor players are doing it a bunch now. So I don't know.
What about like when, obviously the NFL travels everywhere, and it's teams like Kansas City that have, I guess, technically go the shortest distances because they're in the center of that country. But then I don't like when I see those guys go like, we're playing in Berlin, and we got a game in 6 days in, I don't know, in Nashville.
You got to figure out a way.
Yeah.
I played in London twice. Those trips to Seattle from New Orleans, they always were terrible. But the good thing about it is, like, when you go from East to West Coast, you get the time back. It's when you go West to East, that's when it's more challenging because you lose all that time. But you just got to figure it out, man. When you put when you put them cleats on the ground, you better be ready to ball. It don't matter. People don't care how far you flew, where you playing at. You better be able to play.
Speaking of traveling, hey, Joel, are there some stadiums across America that you would like to go visit to see your Huskies play?
Well,
anywhere, like a venue you've heard about or a campus you've heard about that you would love to partake in, and ideally it's wrapped around Washington football.
I would. Well, the Sphere in Las Vegas. I'd like. To
Oh,
see
they're going to play games in the Sphere now. All right.
That would be really something.
That would be a hell of a show.
It would. I don't think the players would know. Like that field's changing. It's all of a sudden like an ocean. Who would know? But sure. No, I would. To Urban's old stomping grounds. University of Florida I got to do the Gator Growl there, and I was like, this place is amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was good times, and that whole place is built around like you really is a swamp until you get to that town.
Yeah.
You felt like you were in a weird movie where you're like, I don't think there's a road leading back out of here. And of course, Michigan. I know that stadium is an electric place and all that. I mean, Ohio State. I mean, there's so many, and so I don't know if I had to choose one.
No, you don't have to choose one. I'm just curious which ones you want to go to. Tell you what, we'll make it.
You know what? Like Harvard. I'd like for the Huskies to beat up on Harvard just because they probably think they're smarter than us.
Sure, and because they are. We can solve this. You can just join Big Noon Kickoff next season. Come on the road with us every week, and we bounce around, and you can just do whatever the hell you want to do.
And what would you call me? Resident idiot?
No, I don't know. We don't have names for anybody.
Resident idiot. It's crazy.
Plus, you've got one of those deals with Fox where every time I pull into the Fox lot, there's another billboard of you in another show up there. It's like you and Gordon Ramsay run the place. It's insane.
Well, I asked Gordon if I took my money and his money and put it in a pile and cut it in half, maybe we could do that.
Yep.
But he still has not agreed.
Hasn't.
I'll do that in a heartbeat. And I feel like this always happens with NFL. I say it because every NFL commentators, they're always like, what do they need to do in this game? Well, they need to take care of the ball.
Right.
Offense and defense.
Really good.
45 minutes or 60 minutes from down. They need to play every down. And I was like, I feel like I could do that.
I could do that.
But then
you just did it.
Yeah.
But then, then all of a sudden they talk about some player like, oh, well, that's, yeah. I want to know, because when they do it live, were you guys doing it? Like, how much pre-information do you have? Like, I'm always very impressed. It's I don't even know.
You have to have your information like backlog, but you got to be able to pull it immediately. You know what I mean? So it is a little, when that red light hits you, it's like, oh, it's time to go. Like,
without naming names, don't name a name, Mark. But have you guys been in studios where you're like, this guy has no idea what he's talking about right now?
Well, I've only been in for 2 years, and everyone I know is true professionals. So I can't say that anyone on my show has dropped the ball when the red light has came on, because I got true professionals that I'm learning from. So I can't. Maybe some other studios, you know what I mean? But at Big Noon Kickoff, all my dudes on point. I'm gonna tell you that.
Well played.
I'll answer that, Joe. Yeah, it was awful. Yeah, I'm looking at it, but why is this person here? So I'm not going to throw names out there.
No, I'm not saying no.
I'll tell you what, we would get a bunch of hits or whatever if I did throw some names out there, Rob.
Might as well.
Let's not do that. Yeah, we're all right
Joe.
with that.
No, this is about Joe.
We're all right with that.
Yeah, you could name players from the 50s or 60s. They're probably dead.
They're gone.
Oh my gosh.
No idea.
Hey man, tell me, bro. You go from you was on the road team at Washington?
Well,
you was rowing? You was recruited to go rowing there?
It's called crew. What do you mean on the row team? The hell is going on with you, Mark Ingram? The row team?
You got to row. It is rowing. Is it not rowing?
It is
rowing, but it's not the
what
row
you talking
team.
about, Stone?
Yeah.
Like, let me talk to my bed without you.
Joel, set him straight, man.
Was I wrong by asking you? Was you on the rowing team?
Well, you're both, because you could say you rowed crew, but then you could say crew team, but then people might not. Yeah, but people say row. It really.
So I was not wrong.
You're wrong. It's not the road team. I've never heard.
I said you got recruited to go.
Road crew would be there
we go.
Well, I don't know nothing about it other than on the movie How High they were smoking and stroking. Yeah, that's all I know about road team.
Hey, you didn't see the boys in the boat?
Boys in the boat. Oh man.
George Clooney. directed.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I was recruited to row
Yeah.
for University of Washington.
Recruited to row, so that's the proper terminology. You were recruited to row.
Yeah.
You were recruited for the crew team.
I was recruited.
He just said he was recruited to row, so
both
I was
were.
technically right.
What the hell does a crew coach look for?
This is
Like,
not
how do
where
they
I
know
thought-
you're a good rower? Because you're in the boat with a bunch of other dudes, and how do they know you're better than the other one?
Oh, you do an erg test, or they
Okay,
used to
that's
do
what I
this erg
figured.
Test where you would
They
try to
isolate you.
row. Yeah, you try to row 2,500 meters in the shortest amount of time, and they can also tell the power that you're pulling with each stroke, and so they can get a pretty good idea of how quick you are and how powerful you are.
And how does the athleticism of rowing transfer to being a tight end on the Washington Huskies? What's that correlation?
There we go, Mark.
What's
Good
that
job.
correlation?
Now I'm going to throw the crew team under the bus here, as I have multiple times. So I joined crew, and it was
Wait, you joined crew?
I joined. See, there you go.
Join the row team.
Gotcha. I
joined the rowboat team, and the hazing, the senior entitlement hazing to freshman process was so walking into this. I like some sort of horrible Animal House version where they have all these, because I figured out that nobody watches rowing except for every 4 years in the Olympics, and to make up their own importance, it was just hazing and pushing in chair. There was all these rules for the seniors. How they were to be treated and all this stuff. And I didn't push a chair in properly, and they thought I looked at them weird. And so this one guy and I ended up with a fight with 11 guys. And then the crew, I literally did a podcast because crew members, there's like how crew is so toxic, and going years back. And so these guys, they beat us up, and there was no, and I was like, this seems wrong. 11 on 2, and they had all the tiles. Oh, and also if you made the freshman boat, they shaved your head and your eyebrows and put all that hair into a pillow. And then there was a display case of all the hair pillows, which is pretty serial killer weird.
Dark.
And,
disturbing.
It was a little, and I just hated them, and they hated me. And I was like, they all lived together. And then at one point, a senior just wanted my bunk bed. So they took all my things and just shoved them in the hallway because they just wanted a bed. And I was like, okay, I'm getting out of here. And I had become the football team was eating in the same place we did. And the football team, I knew a couple of guys, and all they did was want to win. And I'm sure there was, and their biggest hazing was skit night and singing a song. And I was like,
that's football.
I can do these.
And so it was like because it was the Don James era. They had just won the national championship, and the focus on winning was like they were super. And this guy named Chico Fraley, an amazing player in college, who was in my fraternity, and I was like, I'm thinking in a crazy thought of coming out for football, and he was like, well, give it a try, and if you don't get killed in the first week, you might be okay. And that was a 2-year jaunt of me trying not to get killed out there and putting on as much weight as I could. And it was such a positive experience for me, and it showed me these guys. All the rowing guys will try to kill me the next time, as they should. Bring it on. What are you going to do? With an oar, sharpen an oar and stab me. So they to this day I am friends with them, and that's where I learned how to like work hard. Like I was like, oh, these guys have a full-time job and they're full-time students, and I was doing theater at night. So I was like, this is the level this is what you have to do if you want to get anything done and succeed at something. And so that's my very long journey. Look, the crew team has done great, all that stuff. But at the time, the coach allowed all sorts of ridiculous behavior from seniors. And I was just like, All right, do your thing because no one's watching, and you make yourself feel important. And
All right, last thing before we
how
get
about
you out of
that?
here.
That
We
was a
appreciate
long-
your time.
You
Yeah.
touched a nerve.
Yes, I got it.
Right. Now I got one more question before we get up out of here, man. You starred, great actor, great comedic. You've done so many shows. Do you have any good stories about any like athletes being, on the job with you? And how can you get
Oh.
me into the TV world with you? man?
Oh.
What? Be careful what you ask for.
Hey, I'm about that.
Oh.
I'm about that. Hey, just call me up. You need a brother from another, stocky and swole that's gonna, bring the energy. Let me know.
And you're in the Fox family? Yeah. Okay, so we just had Gronk on, and he's coming on our Super Bowl episode. And the premise is that we go over to, he's playing himself, and the premise is he's having a Super Bowl party, but he invited live mascots. And of course, a gigantic real buffalo is not going to be conducive to necessarily next to, I don't know, an old man dressed up as a cowboy and running after him. So Gronk was super committed and really funny, and just like he just dove in, and I was like, oh, thank God, because sometimes you can see stuff like that and they aren't great. But anybody, you're on TV, so I'm guessing.
But I'm trying to get in there with you. Like, I'm on TV, but I need to get into that, you feel me? That other the avenue, the Hollywood, the star show, you feel me?
You want to meet some of the members of the Brady Bunch?
Yeah, at the next Christmas party.
Marsha.
Yeah, but he was he was great. He was also great on the Brady roast.
Yeah. He's a wonderful talent, and he's played it up
Look at
very
him, he's
well.
over it. Look at him.
Did you know that Urban has seen me do stand-up?
He admitted to
In
that before we
Ohio?
got you on.
In
Look at this
Columbus,
dude.
right?
Yes, you were Urban. Speaking of celebrities, when you walked into the show, I don't think I've ever seen. The only time I've seen something similar is when Steve Martin came to see one of my stand-up shows, and I might as well have walked on stage and went, over here, and Urban was just touching people on the forehead, curing them of diseases. It was he made a little boy walk. It was just like, you can walk again.
That's awesome.
They were just holding onto the hem of his garment. It was I was like, oh, that was you were so nice, and your friends were so cool. And I was like, when I told anybody, I was like, Urban Meyer came to the show, and they were like, why? I don't know. Maybe he likes comedy.
I love comedy.
And it was really like just to see man, it was.
They're kind of oblivious to it, Joel, because I walk around with these guys sometimes, and you can feel the heads whip and look and point and the talk. Like these are godlike creatures in certain spots of our country, and it is pretty remarkable. Joel, thanks for joining us. I'm glad to see you're a big fan of Alice in Chains. I'm glad your eyebrows are back. Oh, it's such a great band. And
I quit the team before they allowed me to shave.
You're gonna have no facial expressions for a month.
Good decision. And Animal Control returns January 2nd on Fox. Joel McHale, everybody, man. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next season on Big Noon Kickoff.
I would love to. And Mark, I'll take you to some parties there.
Yeah, hey man, let me know. Holla at your boy. And if you're ever down here in Florida, come holla at me. I got you. I got an extra room.
It's the great thing about the parties here, also sleeve optional.
Hey, I don't like to wear my sleeves. Gotta let the gun show go. You feel me?
Light it.